Sean, one of the greatest things about teaching golf for a living is we get new golfers coming into the game. So it always keeps us kind of having to talk about similar things just in different ways, because it really helps golfers understand. For the guy who's been playing 20 years, understands differently than the guy who's been playing it for 20 days.
Yeah.
Right? So, but we all have the same shots in golf. Whether you're Tiger Woods, you're going to have a tee shot, an iron shot, a wedge shot, and a putt. Or if you're just a beginner golfer, and you're going to have those same shots. So it's really important to understand a few key concepts with hitting these irons if you're a beginner golfer, and that's what we want to help you with today. All right, Sean, let's talk about the first concept that we see new golfers, beginning golfers, even really experienced golfers do this all the time.
Yeah. No, these videos are beginner videos, but they're for everybody, really.
Right. Hopefully, if you're a beginner, you're learning these things right off the bat, but we see a lot of experienced golfers that kind of need to put some of these things in place. So, right off the bat, literally right off the bat of the golf swing, what do we see happen?
I think one thing you need to watch out for, or what we would like to see,
right,
is as the golfer moves the club away, the right arm doesn't overly bend and pull back. So when I see beginner golfers, they grab a golf club for the first time, they grab it like a hammer because that feels good to them. They think they can move something.
Familiar with them, right?
It's familiar. So when they grab it like that, the first move is to draw the club back like they're going to hammer something.
Yep.
Right? So that pull back pulls the shoulder back up in the socket too much, almost like they're shrugging, and gets their arm in this arm wrestle basketball dribble position. And then from there, they either try to scoop it up in the air or they hammer straight down on the ball, and it just does that.
Right. So there's very little rotation with the body because you can't from that position, really.
No.
And it's like you said, it's so rooted in how they grip the club.
Intuitive when they grab it like a hammer.
Yeah, like, oh, okay, this feels familiar.
Yeah.
There's the ball. I've got to hit that ball.
Yeah.
So, bam, and then find out that doesn't work well. So then you start to get the scoops and flips to try to get it airborne, and then that really starts to snowball and lead to a whole host of other issues.
Yeah. So Mike made a good point. So first of all, make sure you have it in the fingers of your right hand. We've got tons of videos about
lots
the
of grip videos on that.
So I want you to feel like if you're a beginner or even a good player, the first part of the takeaway, there shouldn't be a lot of right arm bend.
Right.
And there shouldn't be any feeling like you're starting a lawnmower.
It shouldn't be rigid, right? We don't want it rigid, but it shouldn't be going boom.
You don't want it pulling back like you're doing a row or at the gym, or even like the lawnmower pull, I call it a lot, because that gets the club moving this way. Keep that arm a little bit straighter and let the club forearm rotate a little bit so it gets in line with your hands, and you'll feel this arm doesn't get behind my shirt seam, and that's a good checkpoint.
Yeah, that shaft parallel is what you're talking about, right?
Yep.
This early takeaway, and a really good way to feel that, and we'll get to some drills here in a second, is to get the club in motion and and then catch it with your right hand and see what that is.
Yeah.
You're not going to go like this and you're just not going to swing it there or keep it out there like that.
Absolutely right.
The first thing, right, the first concept is huge. Getting the club moving away is how you perceive this right arm moving. All right, let's talk about the second one. All right, Sean, the second concept that we see that really, not just for beginner golfers, but beginner golfers definitely need it, is how the body should be pivoting. How should we be turning during the golf swing? So we got the takeaway ironed out now. Now what happens after that?
So what happens after that is, as far as just body motion, we should be just making kind of a tight little pivot around basically the shirt tag. The upper body doesn't have a lot of lateral, but the thing, that we see beginners do, because they want to hit something hard, and a lot of them have played a form of baseball.
Sure.
Everybody played t-ball basically, right? They go this way.
Yeah.
Because they think that by loading up, they have a better chance.
Or they've read, get behind the ball, get the left shoulder over the right foot, all of those kind of things that have been around for a long time that really don't, one, it's not really done, and two, it doesn't really help you.
Yeah, it's not baseball, it's golf.
Right.
The ball's stationary. So one of the must-dos for beginners is to feel like I rotate a little more in the center.
Do that again.
Yep.
So you're keeping your spine really neutral. You're not to lean away. You're not doing that to get behind the ball.
Absolutely.
In golf, unlike any really other sports where the ball's moving, we get to determine where we set up to the ball. So if a ball's right here, we're going to put that kind of underneath our left pec, and you're behind the ball now without swaying
Just
off
because
of
I've
it.
rotated 90 degrees. So
Exactly right.
that's a great one. Must do for beginners. Stay in the middle. Try not to sway over this way. Your weight might feel even a little more 50-50 than you ever thought at the top.
Put that around your shoulders again
Sure.
and do that. You're going to see this end of the club goes much lower than the club head side. That's how you pivot in the golf swing. It's not a flat turn.
Yeah, which happens if you start moving off the ball.
That's exactly right. So you add this piece of rotation, right? Couple that with this takeaway that we just talked about in the right arm.
And keeping the right arm straighter, and you're in a pretty good spot.
Now you're really close to being 2/3 of the way done with a really solid golf swing before you really start to learn how to play the game. And that's a huge advantage you can have to understand these concepts really early in your golf career. All right, Sean, kind of the third concept that we see really poorly understood, and we'll blame our side of the golf ball on that, is how golf instruction for a lot of ways have been taught over the years, is this idea of impact. How do we get a flat piece of metal to get that golf ball off the ground up in the air? Even with something like a sand wedge here versus a 6-iron, this is very daunting looking for a lot of golfers new to the game.
So, especially, I've got a 5-iron here actually.
Okay.
And it looks like there's not a lot of loft.
Right.
In reality, there's plenty of loft if you use it the right way. So, a beginner will look at this, and instead of making a motion where they just feel like, okay, I'm just going to brush the ground and let the club do the work. And you may have heard someone say that. It's actually not a bad thought.
Right.
Like, don't try to make this ball go in the air.
Exactly.
When you try to make it go in the air, a lot of times that's what causes the scooping, because you feel like you have to flip it up in the air. It doesn't work like that.
I think a lot of golfers, right, the idea of that the golf ball is trapped against the ground. So if I've got that concept going around in my coconut and I'm trapping the ball against the ground, how in the world does it get airborne?
Yeah. So I think a better thought, just get the club coming down, get it brushing the ground, maybe somewhere a little bit in front of the ball. The sole of the club just nips the ground. You don't have to bang it into the ground, right? Like Mike said, if you're trying to trap it, you'd really be banging it down.
Right.
Just brush it down there. The ball will hit the loft and go up for you. It does the work.
No matter how much you lean the shaft, there's always going to be loft on the club face. That loft lifts the ball and gets it airborne.
Yeah, so instead of you always trying to feel like, okay, this doesn't look like I can get it in the air and start creeping back like we talked about and doing this, all of a sudden you can stay here with the chest in a good spot and let the wrists do what they're going to do without trying to artificially scoop, and this ball's going to take off like a bullet because you're using the club the way it was designed.
That's exactly right. So understand that when you buy your set of clubs or you borrow your set of clubs, every one of them has enough loft to get the ball airborne. The idea of trapping it, that works for some players, but the reality is the ball's not trapped against the ground, right? It's lifted and sent in the air immediately as soon as it comes into contact. So understanding that will certainly go a long way into letting you kind of brush the ground and get these things airborne. There's nothing better than seeing that ball take off with a lower lofted club and watch it launch in the air. And you'll start to see more of those shots. All right, let's take these three concepts, share with you guys some drills so you can start to put these into your own swing. All right, Sean, let's dive right into this right arm and the takeaway. Let's give them a drill that they can really use to tune that up.
The one I like is just a split hands grip drill. So you take your normal grip, slide your right hand down to where your index finger's touching the steel on the shaft.
Like a hockey grip.
Yeah, and then just make your takeaway, and it's almost going to force you to have a little bit longer right arm just where it's placed on the club.
Right.
From there, just fold your right arm, keeping kind of the same orientation or distance away from your left arm. Don't do this and do your lawnmower. So make the takeaway, fold the right arm as you turn, and that puts you in a really good spot and gives you some width and puts your right arm in the correct position instead of what we talked about in the beginning, was this kind of hammer or pull back with the arm.
And what we like to do with beginners for this is, okay, this concept is pretty easy. All right, that's pretty good. Get my right arm right. Go on up, everything's good. Get to doing that where you can look at it and it's right, then close your eyes.
And check it.
And then check it. Close your eyes, okay, look, that was a little off. I'm a little here, I'm a little too far back. Get it to where you can do it, your eyes open, your eyes closed, then reward yourself with hitting balls doing that. So let's have you hit one, just bunt one out there. Give you the sand wedge because we don't want to do this with a 5-iron.
Split hands?
Yep, split hands.
Just chip one?
Yep.
Perfect. Go
Okay,
here.
we're not looking for land speed records here, we're looking for quality of movement. Love it.
That gives me a good sense of having that right arm a little bit longer and not retracting.
Exactly right. All right, now let's look on to step number 2. All right, Sean, let's look at a good pivot drill that we use all the time with golfers, really to kind of tame some of this really keeping forward bend for too long in the golf swing.
Yeah, and you know, beginners a lot of times are trying to load up or play baseball, I call it. You know, it's not baseball, it's golf, so you need to stay more on top of the ball as you make a backswing and don't have as much lateral.
Because again, we got to get this ball off the ground.
Good players don't have a lot of lateral motion on the backswing with their mass, right? So I think a good drill is classic, but a good one, just hook the club behind your back. But there's a key way I want you to do this. I want you to take the right side of this shaft and pull it behind you, as opposed to taking the left side and pushing it away.
Yes. We see this with the proper hip movement too, right?
Yeah.
The right side needs to be more active than the left side.
Absolutely right. So if you can feel like this side goes back and the right hip goes back, that'll keep you basically centered. You might see your knees change flex instead of kind of keeping them the same and just swaying.
Right.
Or even going this way, like a reverse.
Right. We don't want to bring the hips towards me. We want to keep everything fairly centered with rotation.
Yeah, that gives you a great way to be in a good position at the top before you start down.
Right. What you're going to feel if you're used to doing it the other way is you're going to feel really rounded when you do this, right? You're going to feel your chest, shoulders really open up here. That's going to allow you to increase your rotation to add more speed later on in the downswing.
Yeah, so and just to layer on top of that, what you can do is just take your normal setup here, put your hand like this, and just take it up over your head as opposed to going this way.
Yep, let's do that again.
Yep, so here, open palm, put the palm up over your head like this. It's very difficult to do that if you go over this way. You can't put this hand.
Right, you start to lean the shaft too far back.
Yeah, I almost want to line my hand up with the ball down there, right?
Now let's do it, switch hands and do it the same way with the other hand on the club.
Like this?
Yep, take the club back now and point this at the ball. There we go.
Love it.
So now you can feel a little bit of weight pulling that shoulder towards the target, that right shoulder.
I like that. Very good. That keeps you centered. You would never do this and go like this because you couldn't get your hand to line up.
You would really feel you're going to clank the ball and the club in the ground way behind it.
So another great way for beginners to feel the pitch.
So those are 3 variations of really the same drill. Do all 3 of them, right? Do them slow again. If you're going to hit a ball, put it up on a tee so you get really good at making these movements. You will see an improvement. Now let's do the last one. All right, Sean, drill number 3 here is really going to start to tune up how impact should happen, right? So we're going to use just a golf towel, and you can see today we haven't used anything yet to go out and buy, right? So we're going to use a golf towel. We're going to place it a foot. Is that a foot? One of your feet in front of the ball there?
Yeah, about size 10.5.
Right, so just put the ball right in front of the towel, and we're going to hit the ball.
Yeah, so that's right. So once you've got the feeling of these other 2 drills, now, you know, it's here for a reason, just to give you some feedback, because if you try to scoop and lift this ball this way, you're going to hit the towel, right? So the feeling is that as you swing in and make your little pivot, and
you're shifting forward, all the good things are happening.
And your hands will be a little in front of the club just from good grip and wrist motion. You should never really hit this towel, but the feedback is there in case you do it wrong, because a lot of you need something there just to visualize, because you need to understand the low point of the club needs to happen farther out in front of the ball.
That's exactly right? The lowest that club head gets, and that's a great point, is in front of the ball.
Yeah.
This towel is going to help you do that.
Yeah, and you can just hit little shots like this. So I'm going to hit one this way. Okay. So take a couple practice swings. Feel like you're going to brush the ground in front of where the ball would be.
Right.
Right? And, you know, that the magic of that is if you do that right, the ball flies up in the air, right? As opposed to trying to be back here and scooping it. So if I just do this little easy one, okay, I just nip the ground in front of the ball, maybe an inch.
Right.
Ball goes up in the air. The loft of the club does what it's supposed to do. The club does the work.
That's exactly right. Start, if this is a new concept for you and you're really bad at kind of wanting to help the ball in the air and that's an issue for you, start with it a foot width in front of the towel and graduate till it gets to be about 6 inches in front of the towel. You do that, you're really going to see an improvement on your ball striking and where that ball goes.
Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did enjoy it, go ahead and give it a like. Also, if you have any questions about today's video or you have an idea of a video that you want us to shoot, go ahead and leave it in the comments below. We read every single comment. We also respond to the comments. So again, leave us a comment if you have any questions or there's anything you'd like to see. Now, if you haven't already, click the subscribe button. We have videos coming out every single week and we don't want you to miss one. So by clicking subscribe, that ensures you're notified right away when a new video comes out. And hey, if you want to add instant distance to your drive, and we all do, everybody wants more distance, go ahead and click the link In the pinned comment below, you're gonna see a link. Click on it, it's gonna take you to a page. You're gonna enter your name and email address. We're gonna send you an email where you're gonna get access to Instant Distance, which is a video training that we put out. We know it's gonna help you. We know we're gonna see you farther down the fairway.